Hello, everybody. We are going to get into Chapter 11, Lesson 2. I'm skipping Lesson 1 because I don't think everybody has a ruler at their house. I don't, so I just don't figure that everyone does. So since we are working from home, we're just going to have to skip that one, and it's not really going to hurt anything to skip that one. It doesn't really build on that for this one. Lesson 2 is called Convert Customary Units of Length. So if you don't know what the word convert means, we have it right here. It says you can multiply to convert or change between units. So to convert something means that you change it. It gives us our customary units of length up here, or you should have your foldable that we did in the last video as a reference. Okay, I have mine right here to use if I need to. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to hop into example 1 and work through this lesson. I think this cord, no, I don't guess it's hanging over the book. Okay, we're fine. All right, so example 1 says, Maria's dog Corey loves to jump over water. Corey's longest jump is 7 yards. How many feet are in 7 yards? Okay, so it's going to give us some clues of how to figure this out. You know the number of yards, and you want to find the number of feet. Yards are a larger unit than feet. 1 yard is 3 times as long as 1 foot. So we're going to use multiplication. 7 yards equals blank feet. I'm going to multiply by 3 because 1 yard equals 3 feet. So 7 times 3, we know, is 21. So there are 21 feet in 3 yards. It says I can check this by drawing a picture. I know that 3 feet is 1 yard. Okay. If I have 7 of those, there are 3 feet for every 1. And so I can line all that up and see that for every 1 of these, there's 3 feet. Every 1 yard is 3 feet. If I count all of these, there will be 21. Now, I don't need to count because I know my multiplication facts, and I bet you do too. So it's very easy to just multiply 7 times 3 and get 21. Okay, so let's move on to another example. This time, I'm converting 3.5 feet to inches. 3.5 feet equals how many inches? I know that 1 foot is 12 times as long as 1 inch because there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So if you think about a ruler, we know that 1 ruler has 12 inches in it. So I'm going to use multiplication. 3 whole feet times 12, because that's our inches, we know that 3 times 12 is 36. Okay, now I'm not finished because I want to know what 3.5 feet is. Well, I know how many's in 3 whole feet, but how many's in a half a foot? If there are 12 inches in a whole foot, there must be 6 inches in a half foot. So I've got 36 for 3 feet and 6 inches for the half foot right here. I'm going to add that up. 36 inches plus 6 inches equals 42 inches. They already did that for me, super easy. So there are 42 inches in 3.5 feet. Now, if I needed to think about that better and maybe draw a picture, I could think of it this way. 3.5 feet. So let's just say this is 1 foot. This is 2 foot. This is 3 foot. And then I want to do a half. Okay. We'll pretend that's half. I know it's probably not exactly half. So I know that for every 1 foot, it's 12 inches, 12 inches, 12 inches. And this is a half of a foot or half of 12. So I know that it's 6. Now, if I add all of that up, guess what I'm going to get? 42. Okay, so I carry that out. It's going to give me 42. So if you have a hard time visualizing what you're figuring out, it always helps to draw pictures. Okay, let's go down here to the bottom of this page, to bottom of 704, and fill in these charts. Let's figure this out. It says, complete each conversion table to show measurement equivalence. So equivalent is probably a vocabulary word we had earlier in the year, and to be equivalent means to be equal. That's right. So it says list the number pairs in the last column of the conversion table. So let's think about this. Oh, okay, I see. It wants me to say that 12 inches equals 1 foot. So 12, comma 1. See how that works? So 24 inches equals 2 feet. So 24, comma 2. How many inches are going to equal 3 feet? Well, that's pretty easy because up here, I already found what 3 feet was, right? I can just look back to what I had. I don't even have to do any figuring for that. So 36 is 3 feet. So I'm going to say 36, comma 3. So I'm going to keep up this pattern, okay? What am I doing every time to keep up this pattern? Well, if I'm going from 12 to 24 to 36, each time I just added 12. So I can do that here, or I could think of 4 times 12, which is going to be 48. So then I'm just going to write that over here, 48, comma 4. Okay, so this is called a conversion table. Okay, and that's just saying there are 12 inches in 1 foot, 24 inches in 2 feet, 36 inches in 3 feet, 48 inches in 4 feet. And to get that, I multiplied this by 12 every time because there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So for every foot, I have to multiply by 12. Okay, hopefully that was pretty easy to understand. Now here, I'm going to say how many inches are in these yards, okay? So I know you got to think about some things first. You got to maybe go back to this table here, and I'm talking about yards and inches. So let's just kind of put our little, you probably assembled yours into a booklet, but I didn't have any scissors to cut mine apart, and I just didn't do it. So I can just look at it this way. Okay, so I want to know first how many inches is in 1 yard. So I can come to this table. I've got inches and yards. So I can see on my table that there are 36 inches in 1 yard. So I'm going to put my little parenthesis over here, 1, comma 36. Okay, so I know that much. Now I have to think about this. How many yards is it going to take to equal 108? Okay, so let's think about this. If I did 2 yards, that would be like saying 36 plus 36, and that's going to give me 72. So that's not going to be enough. So I know that this isn't going to be a 2. So let's think about if I add 36 more onto it. So this would be 3 yards. 36 plus 36 is 72, plus 36 more gives me 108. So I know that 3 yards is 108 inches. Okay. Now, so there I'm going to put 3, comma 108. And now I know that in 3 yards, there are 108 inches. Okay. Now, keeping up, if I add 36 more, that's not going to get me 216. But if I'm looking at this table, I can kind of think about this. And 108 plus 108 would give me 216. So 3 plus 3 would give me 6. So that's telling me that 6 yards is 216 inches. Now I'm going to prove that. I'm going to say 36, because that's how many inches are in 1 yard, times 6, because that's how many yards I think this is, and I'm going to multiply that out, and hopefully I'm going to get 216. So 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3, 19, 20, 21. So 216. Does that equal up? It sure does. So 1 yard is 36 inches. Times 6 yards, I got 216. Okay. Now I need to get to 252. Okay. 252. I know it's going to be more than 6 because this is 216. If I add 36 to 216, do I get 252? Let me see. 36. So 2, 1. I do. I get 252. So just 1 more yard is going to be a 7. So I'm going to say 7 yards is 252 inches. Now this, you kind of had to work through. It wasn't just as easy as these feet and inches, was it? You had to really think. You had to think there's 36 in 1 yard, and you kind of had to work backwards. We could have divided, I guess, but it was easier to just maybe do a little trial and error. Okay, let's move on to the next page. On this page, we're going from feet to yards, and I'm still going to keep my chart here because it's going to come in handy. So if I'm going from, oh, I'm not going from feet to yards. I'm going, yeah, okay. How many, hold on, I'm backwards here. Okay, I want to see how many feet are in 2 yards. I know that 1 yard, I'm not going to write that out. I can just refer to this. I know that 1 yard is how many feet. So I'm going to go to yards and feet. 1 yard is 3 feet. So 2 yards would be like 3 feet times 2. So how many feet are in 2 yards? 6 feet in 2 yards. So I'm going to say 2, 6. Okay. So what am I doing every time here? So I multiplied by 3. So what do you think I'm going to do for all of these to get from yards to feet? I'm going to multiply by 3. Yards to feet, I always multiply by 3 because there are 3 feet for every yard. So in 3 yards, there are going to be 9 feet. So I'm going to say 3, 9. In 4 yards, 4 times 3 is 12. So there are going to be 12 feet. So I'm going to say 4, 12. Okay. In 5 yards, I'm going to multiply by 3. And so that gives me 15 feet. So 5, 15. Okay, so to get from yards to feet, I'm going to always multiply by 3. Now, I didn't show you what to multiply by back here, but what we basically did was we multiplied every time by 36, okay? Except the difference was on this one, they gave us inches and we kind of had to divide out to figure out how many yards it was. So honestly, I could say that we said 36 divided by 36 was 1. 108 divided by 36 would have been 3. 216 divided by 36 would have been 6. And 252 divided by 36 would have been 7. Because they gave us sort of like the answer to the multiplication problem. So we had to work backwards and divide. Except for, honestly, we just did trial and error. You can do whatever works for you. I don't care. All right, number 4. We're going from yards to inches again. So look here, yards to inches. We've already done this. Let's see if any of these match up. 1, 3, 6, 7, 2, 4, 5, 8. Ah, look at that. They didn't give us any slack on that one, did they? I thought maybe we could have transferred some of these over, but they didn't. It's fine. So I just told you, though, on this one, what do you need to multiply by to get from yards to inches? 36. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that in there because I know that for every yard, there are 36 inches. So I'm just going to write that out. 36 times 36, just so I can remind myself what I'm going to do. To get from yards to inches, I'm going to multiply by 36. Okay, 2 times 36. You know what? I don't think these are facts that we know off the top of our head, so we might have to work these out together. So if I do 36 times 2, I'm just going to write it up here in the margin. 36 times 2, 6 times 2 is 12, carry my 1, I get 72. So 72 inches. So for every 2 yards, it is 72 inches. Okay. For 4, you know, what I could do is just double that because 4 is double 2. So I could just double this and I'll just add 72 plus 72 and I'll get 144. So there are 144 inches. So 4 yards is 144 inches. And now I'm just 1 more than 144, or 1 more than 4. So I could just add a 36 on to 144. So I'm going to say 144 plus 36, right? Because it's just another set of 36. 4 plus 6 is 10. Carry the 1, 7, 8. And so that's 180 inches. So 5, 180. Okay, and then 8. What I can do is say 8 is double 4, so I'm going to double the 144. Now, I don't really have to write that out because I can do that one in my head, but I'll write it out just for fun. So that's going to give me 288. So 288, and I'm going to do 8, comma, 288. So now we've got our conversion chart for yards to inches. And you know what you could do is you could actually create a new conversion chart because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You've got a conversion chart for 1 through 8 yards of how many inches it is. If you created a new one for yourself, just to have in your notes, it would be a very good thing to maybe use on a quiz or something like that that you come across later. You're already going to have the work done by using your book. What's the inches to feet? Yeah, we haven't done that yet. So we're getting ready to do another one. So yeah, you can kind of make your own charts to help you along the way. These will be good to go back and use. Okay, let's look at question 5. I'm going from feet to inches. Now, a second ago, we talked about how to go from feet to inches. What do we multiply by to go from feet to inches? For every 1 foot, it is 12 inches. So I'm just going to multiply all of these by 12. By 12. Okay, so let's think about this. 3 times 12. That's kind of like a basic fact, so we should probably know that. So 3 times 12 is 36. So for every 3 feet, it is 36 inches. And we know that from yards too, because 3 feet is 1 yard, and 36 inches is also 1 yard. All right, 6 times 12. You should probably know that too as one of your basic facts. So 6 times 12 is 72. So for every 6 feet, it is 72 inches. Okay. 9 times 12. 9 times 12. Probably should know that one too, but if you don't, think about 9 times 10 is 90. 9 times 2 is 18. Add 90 plus 18 and you get 108. So for every 9 feet, it is 108 inches. Okay, and then 12 times 12, basic fact, should definitely know that one. It's 144. So 12 times 12 is 144. So for every 12 feet, it's 144 inches. Okay, and then if you look back over here for feet and inches, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, that's a repeat, 6, not a repeat, 9, and 12. So you've got some different ones in there. Now this next one's going to be a little bit trickier. We're going from feet to miles. Now that's one I can never remember. So I'm going from feet to miles. So if I look at my chart, I know that in 1 foot, there's 5,280 feet. I really needed my chart for that because that's one I never remember just off the top of my head. Okay, so for every 5,280 feet, it is 1 mile. Okay, now I have to figure out 2, 3, and 4. Now, what am I going to multiply by to get these? 5,280, that's a big one. So I'm going to multiply times 5,280 times 5,280 times 5,280. So let's just multiply all those out. Now, if you have a calculator, you can go ahead and do that if you want. I think that's what I'll do just to save us some time on this video, if I can find me a calculator here. So 5,280. Oh, guess what? I can't find a calculator right by me. I thought I had one on my iPad, but I don't. So let's just work these out. 5,280 times 2. I'm just going to do it right here, real small. 5,280 times 2. 0, 16, 5, 10. So 10,560 is 2 miles. So 10,560, comma 2. So for every 10,560 feet, that is 2 miles. That's a lot of feet. And then I'm just going to add to that another 5,280. I'm just going to write 5280. So that's 0, 14, 8, 5, 1. So that is 15,840. So for every 15,840 feet, it is 3 miles. Okay, and then I've got one more set, so I'm just going to add on that 5,280, 5280. Let me add that up. So we've got 0, 12, carry that, 11, carry that, 11, carry that, 2. So I've got 21,120. So for every 21,120 feet, that is 4 miles. Okay. I hope my math is correct on that. You can check me with a calculator later. Okay, now this lesson is just a long one, isn't it, guys? All right, here we go. Let's keep going. All right, it says find each unknown number. 11 foot is how many inches? So let's think about how we get from feet to inches. If you look at the problem right above it, what did we do to get from feet to inches? We multiplied by 12. So I can figure this out by saying 11 times 12. I know that 12 times 12 is 144, so it's going to be less than 144. I could do 10 times 12 is 120, plus 1 times 12 is 12. 120 plus 12 is 132. So there are 132 inches in 11 feet. Okay. Number 8, we're going from yards to feet. So let's find one where we go from yards to feet. To go from yards to feet, what did we do? We multiplied by 3. So we're going to say 18 times 3. Now, I don't know that one off the top of my head, so let's figure this out. 18 times 3 is 24. 3 times 1 plus 2 is 5. So 54 feet. 18 yards is 54 feet. All right. 2 1/3 yards equals how many feet? So I'm going from, excuse me, yards to feet. So that's one of these where I kind of have to work backwards. Let me see, yards and feet right here. So yards to feet, 2 1/3 yards. I know that 2 yards from my chart is 6, but then 1/3 of a yard. So let's draw a picture. 2, well, that is a terrible picture, but just pretend with me. 2 1/3. So I know that in this yard, there are 3 feet. In this yard, there are 3 feet, but I only have 1/3 of a yard. So if I divide 3 into 3 equal parts, how many is in each part? 1. So 2 1/3 yard would be 7 feet. Okay, I hope I explained that well. I think I did. Okay. Numbers 10, 11, 12, and 13, we have to figure some things out based on their little clue here. How many times longer is 1 yard than 1 foot? So to go from yards to feet, to go from yards to feet, what did I multiply by? 3. So it's 3 times longer. How many times longer is 1 mile than 1 foot? What did I multiply by on all of these to go from miles to feet? 5,280. So it's 5,280 times longer than 1 foot. All right, how many times shorter is 1 inch than 1 foot? So if I'm going from inches to feet, okay, how many times shorter is 1 inch than 1 foot? How many times shorter? 12. Because there are 12 inches in 1 foot. Okay. How many times shorter is 1 foot than 1 yard? 1 foot than 1 yard. So it is 3 times shorter than 1 yard. Okay. All right, let's move on to the last page. I hope we're getting this, guys. All right. Got some word problems. Let's see what they want us to do. Romero sits 5.5 feet from the bookshelf. Michelle sits 64 inches from the bookshelf. Who sits closer to the bookshelf? Oh boy. So what do we want to do? We could go from feet to inches, or we could go from inches to feet. think it's probably going to be easier to go from feet to inches. So let's say 5½ inches. No, feet. Goodness. Feet. And we want to go to inches. So to do that, I'm going to multiply by 12 because to get from feet to inches, I have to multiply by 12. Okay. So 5 times 12 we know is 60, right? That's my 5 whole feet. But then my half foot is going to be 6 inches. So 60 plus 6 is 66 inches. So this is Ramiro. And Michelle is 64 inches. That's Michelle. Okay, so it says, who sits closer? So I'm thinking Michelle, since she's only 64 inches from that bookshelf, she's going to be closer to it than Ramiro, who is 66 inches away. He's pretty close to her, but a little bit further. All right, number 15. The Costa family hiked a trail that was 2 miles in one direction. How many feet was the hike round trip? So round trip means there and back. So if it's 2 miles up and 2 miles back, how many total miles is that? 4 miles. But I want to know how many feet are in 4 miles. Well, guess what? I already figured that out. So let me go back and look, and I don't even have to work through this again. 4 miles, it's 21,120 feet. I already did the work, 21,120 feet. I already did it, so I didn't have to do it again. That's the best ever. It pays to pay attention to what you've written down because then you don't have to do as much work. All right, number 16. Sumi lives 2 miles from school. Valerie lives 10,542 feet from school. Who lives closer to school? Explain your answer. All right, it's the same stuff. We're going to be able to go back and look. So I know that 2 miles is, and I'm going to turn back, 2 miles is 10,560 feet. 10,560 feet, okay? And that is Sumi. Okay, and then Valerie is 10,542 feet from the school. This is Valerie. Okay, who lives closer? So closer means the smallest number. So who has the smallest distance? Valerie. Look, I didn't even have to go back and figure out how many feet were in 2 miles because I paid attention to what I did back here and I didn't have to do any more work. So always pay attention. All right, number 17. Darren is 4 feet 10 inches tall. His brother is 68 inches tall. How many inches taller is Darren's brother than Darren? Explain. Okay, so if Darren is 4 foot 10 inches, 4 foot 10 inches, that means he is 4 times 12 inches tall plus 10 more inches, okay? So 4 times 12, I know, is 48 plus 10 equals 58. So Darren is 58 inches tall, okay? His brother is 68 inches tall. So I'm going to write this over here. His brother is 68 inches tall. And it says, how many inches taller? So that means I'm going to have to subtract his height. So 68 minus 58 is 10 inches. And so he is 10 inches taller than Darren. And so to explain, I kind of wrote out my work. It's not in words, but I would, if I were your teacher, because I know some people watch this, I'm not your teacher. But if I were your teacher, I would accept this explanation because you showed me, like, this is how you got your answer and all that. I'll take it. So 10 inches taller is what he is. All right, number 18. Write a real world, that's hard to say, problem involving the conversion of customary lengths. Explain the solution. So I'm not going to do this for you because that's something that you can do on your own, but you're going to do a problem something like this or this or this where you have to convert. You might say, like, I live 4 miles from the school and my friend lives blank feet from the school. Who lives closer to the school? Something like that. Okay. Number 19, how are inches, yards, and feet related? Well, let's think about this. Think about a ruler, okay? On a ruler, you've got 12 inches and that whole ruler is 1 foot. But if you put 3 feet together, you're going to get 1 yard. Whoops, forgot the 1. Okay, so you can just kind of think about, like, you can go from inches to feet to yards, or you can go from inches to yards. You can go to yards to inches, yards to feet. They're all related, okay? And then you could actually add a mile in there. It's also related because they're measured in the same units. You measure them in feet. Now, I wouldn't say, like, how are ounces and feet related? They're not. So these are related. They're all measurements of distance. Okay, so use all this knowledge you got today, and it was a lot. This lesson was a lot, I'm not gonna lie. Use all the knowledge you got today to do the homework page, and then have somebody in your house check you, okay? And then after they check you, if you're in my class, you're gonna do the check on Schoology, and do your best. If you're not in my class, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I hope you come back for the next one. I'll see you guys tomorrow for lesson 3. Goodbye.